Hello everybody, Josh here, and welcome back to your AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision post-show review, this time for November 19th, 2025, where I go over everything that happened on the show from the matches to the segments, everything that went down, I go over. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. If you're returning, welcome back. You know how this works. Like I said, I go over everything that happened. Obviously, this was a longer episode of I guess Dynamite or just AEW in general because we had the usual 2 hours of Dynamite and then we had an hour of Collision, which obviously both went a little bit overtime. This is not going to be super in-depth, long post-show review because um, it this did go pretty like obviously it went to 3 hours, but um, I'm exhausted and I want to get this up as soon as I can, so I don't get it up too late. So I can still, reach some of um the night owls that are still awake and just looking out for post shows, I guess. Um but yeah, I'm going to get into this. It was live in Boston, Massachusetts tonight. Before I get into that, though, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. Not the Ko-Fi page. I'm so used to promoting the Ko-Fi page, but I won't be promoting that for about another month or so. I explained that before. It's because I'm not currently doing any content for the Ko-Fi page. December time, I will start posting more content on there, but as of right now, I'm just focused a little bit more on YouTube side of things. So but make sure you guys go check out the Kayfabe Central website as well. That's where all my coverage posts are, articles, written predictions, all that good stuff are up on the Kayfabe Central website. My full gear written predictions should be up tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to do that tonight or if that's going to be like a tomorrow morning kind of thing. But either way, I will have it up before the Predict the Bell for Full Gear is up, the podcast where we do our predictions. Um, I'm going to be joined by Rue as always, and a new guest on the Kayfabe Central podcast. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But the written predictions will be up before that podcast is up, which is going to be tomorrow at some point in time. So make sure you guys keep a lookout for that. And like I mentioned, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when that podcast drops. But yeah, and then obviously make sure you guys go follow me on TikTok, all that good stuff. I post some different content over there. Not just like clips from the podcast or whatever, but a whole bunch of different content like fantasy booking, all that good stuff. And I have some more stuff coming as well. So make sure you guys go check out the TikTok page for Kayfabe Central. But let's jump straight into AEW Dynamite. We kicked off the night with the number one spot in the Casino Gauntlet match for AEW Full Gear, which was Bobby Lashley versus Ricochet. Now, this match didn't go at all how I thought it was going to go. I don't think a lot of people expected this to go this way. But Ricochet got in the ring, the bell rang, but he got a microphone and just started yapping on and on about anything like how he's going to win the Casino Gauntlet, and how he's better than Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Syndicate and how the Demand run things. He was just going on and on. Um, I guess getting as much heat as he can. He came out wearing a Philadelphia Eagles hoodie, and obviously in Boston, that's not gonna fly. So, no pun intended. But yeah, he came out wearing an Eagles hoodie, so obviously he's just attracting all the heat tonight in Boston. The match itself, it wasn't like a five-star classic or anything because half of it was Ricochet talking. So they went back and forth a little bit until Bobby Lashley got the upper hand. We had a really funny moment that I put out on the Twitter page or X page, where Ricochet was talking, Bobby Lashley finally grabbed him, and Ricochet yelled out a very high-pitched scream before getting dropped onto the gates of agony. Um, the Ricochet is just so good, man. He's doing so good in this character and this gimmick. And I am so happy to see that he's doing so much better than what he was doing in the WWE. Um, because when you saw Ricochet in the WWE, it was like, man, is this guy really gonna go anywhere? And then he goes over to AEW and he turns heel and his character is just so much better and you can tell he has a lot of freedom to not necessarily do what he wants, but he has more creative freedom over there in AEW, and that works perfectly for him, especially because he is absolutely phenomenal in the ring. But there was that. Backstage, Samoa Joe was with Katsuyori Shibata. He was hyping up Shibata, saying he's going to do a number on Hangman Adam Page later tonight in the main event. And yeah, pretty much just hyping up Shibata and saying that Shibata's going to soften him up for Full Gear this Saturday. So little thing there to size up the main event. We had another backstage segment with Renee Paquette asking the Young Bucks if they're going to join the Don Callis family. But before they can even answer, Don Callis enters the frame and says, Renee, give them time. It's fine. Um, and then Don Callis says, you know what? I'll give you guys the entrance that you guys like, which he does with the pyro and their usual song, calling them Matthew and Nicholas. And obviously the Young Bucks looked a little bit hesitant, but they're like, yeah, I know Pyro, I guess it's fine, kind of thing. They looked very reluctant to accept the offer from Don Callis. That set up though a tag team match. Sorry, a trios match. It was the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander took on Scorpio Sky, Darius Martin, and Dante Martin. Top Flight. This was a really fun match, as you would expect when you put the six guys together. They're all very talented. They all can move very well in the ring, and it made for a very fun match. Throughout the match, though, there were some issues between the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander. Alexander tagged himself in a couple times, shoved the Young Bucks like to the side. Um, the Young Bucks hit the BTE trigger, I believe it was, and Alexander tagged himself in and shoved I can't remember if it was Nick or Matt to the side and put in the ankle lock and won the match by submission. After the match, Don Callis wanted the Young Bucks to officially announce that they are joining the Don Callis family. They were once again hesitant up until Kenny Omega comes out, makes his return. As we expected, it was advertised that Kenny Omega was going to be on the show. So he comes out and he takes out the other members of the Don Callis family. I think it was Lance Archer that was out there. I think Rocky Romero was out there as well. By the way, Rocky Romero, man, he's just the guy that takes all the bumps for this faction. Um, like anytime he's out there, like, oh man, he's taking a brutal bump, isn't he? But I guess that's his role there, and it seems like he's fine with it. Um, so that's completely okay. Some people are perfect to play that role. Um, but yeah, Kenny Omega comes out, but then Josh Alexander gets the upper hand on Kenny Omega, and then Don Callis asks the Young Bucks to deliver the BTE trigger to Omega. Once again, the Young Bucks were hesitant and reluctant, but then Jurassic Express comes out and makes the save and runs off the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander. And that was the end of that segment. So pretty fun segment. We have Kenny Omega and Jurassic Express taking on the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander this Saturday at Full Gear. So I'm thinking that the babyface turn for the Young Bucks may happen there. Maybe they super kick Don Callis, or maybe they super kick Josh Alexander. Um, but I'll dive more into that on the Full Gear predictions tomorrow. Um, we had a backstage segment where Renee Paquette interviewed Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron, the Babes of Wrath. Is that what they're called? Or I think that's the tag team name. Um, they were just confident that they're going to win the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship tournament. So they were, boasting about themselves a little bit. Um, so that was that. Nothing else to really break down from there. Um, we had a number two spot in the Casino Gauntlet match for AEW Full Gear. Shelton Benjamin defeated Speedball Mike Bailey. Now, this one was weird, and for the most part, like maybe 99% of this match was a good match. These two absolutely delivered. But there's a very weird spot where Shelton Benjamin hit a gorgeous super kick, like a brutal super kick where Speedball took a flip bump onto his face off the super kick. Shelton goes for the cover, one, two, and Speedball doesn't kick out. and it should have been a three, but the ref didn't count three. So I'm very confused on what happened there. Um, if the match was supposed to end there and the referee messed up, or maybe Speedball was supposed to kick out and he didn't and he forgot. It happens sometimes. It's fine. It just, for such a good match, man, it was, a very weird way to end it. But after that, Shelton Benjamin absolutely destroyed Speedball, and laid a beating in on him, and then eventually won the match. So what I said in my AEW Dynamite preview earlier came to fruition with Shelton Benjamin taking on Bobby Lashley in the number one and two spot for the Casino Gauntlet match at Full Gear. So that should be some fun. We then went into the Death Riders. John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli defeated Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy by submission. Now, I honestly was thinking that the Death Riders were going to lose this again, but obviously that was not the case. This was a fine match. Um, when you put four guys like this together, it's not going to be a bad match. Um, I think that they're still recovering from blood and guts last week, which I can give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll cut them some slack with that. And like I said, it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't absolutely fantastic either. It was, your typical solid match on an AEW Dynamite, and that's what it was. So maybe a match to go back and watch. But after the match, the Death Riders tried to attack, but Kyle O'Reilly came out and made the save. He put in a submission hold, a knee bar on John Moxley, and held it in for a long time. Moxley kept tapping out. The Death Riders tried to make the save, but Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong tried to hold them for as long as they could, so Kyle O'Reilly could do damage with that knee bar. Eventually, Moxley escaped, but when he did, Kyle O'Reilly grabbed the microphone and challenged John Moxley to a no holds barred match at AEW Full Gear this Saturday, which did get made official, so that match is happening. That's going to be a very fun match. I'm not going to make my prediction here. You guys are gonna have to wait to the AEW Full Gear predictions tomorrow to hear my predictions for that. But that should be a fun match. O'Reilly getting this little push, I absolutely love because I think Kyle O'Reilly is one of the most underrated wrestlers I have ever seen. And he's just so good, and I'm glad he's getting a chance to shine. Um, we had a backstage segment where Bro Dito said FTR will go home empty-handed. I'm going to say there were a lot of useless segments on this episode of Dynamite that we could have just done without. Um, like I get you need to promote like certain things and you need to have certain things for storylines, even if it's a little thing on each show, but man, like these were just so generic and there was really no use for them. Like I think they were honestly better off not doing anything with some of these. Like this backstage segment with Brotito didn't necessarily need to happen. I understand it, but I feel like you could have given those few minutes to like a match that you had on this card or something. Um, that way you don't have to go like extremely overtime. Like they didn't go much overtime on this either, whether like for Dynamite or Collision. But some segments just we I could have done without, including this one. Um, we had another backstage segment though. Kenny Omega said it is personal with the Young Bucks and Don Callis. Um, obviously because of everything that the Don Callis family has done to Kenny Omega in the past few years, attacking him personally and physically and attacking friends of his. So Kenny Omega said this is extremely personal and he is going to handle them at AEW Full Gear. Once again, a pretty generic segment here, but it was what it was. I get it. Nothing else to break down there. We then had a AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament quarterfinal match. Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa defeated Alex Windsor and Rio. I didn't pay too much attention to this match as it usually is with me and Tony Storm matches. I knew how this match was going to end, and I've mentioned this before many times about how I feel about Toni Storm. I don't like the timeless gimmick, and I think her wrestling style as well is just very bland. Um, and I don't find myself enjoying a lot of Toni Storm matches. Like some matches that she has, I'd be like, okay, this is a pretty good match. Like I'm not gonna sit up here and say she hasn't had a good match at all in AEW because that's just not the case. But in terms of her like overall wrestling style, I'm just not a fan of it. But Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa advanced as we expected. We went to a backstage segment. Alicia Atout um, hosted a face-to-face with Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe. Obviously, Don Callis being in the room as well. Mark Briscoe said he is confident that he is not going to have to join the Don Callis family after this Saturday, and he will walk out as TNT champion. Despite Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe agreeing to no contact, um, Kazuchika Okada and Hechicero did not agree to those terms, and that is who attacked Mark Briscoe in this segment. And Don Callis then told Mark Briscoe, you're gonna do it for your family. Scratch that. I'm going to make sure your kids are orphans. Um, I think that we obviously, I'll get into my predictions tomorrow, but I've said this already before. I think we're setting up for Mark Briscoe winning the TNT Championship. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for him to join the Don Callis family, which honestly is um a little bit sad for Kyle Fletcher because it feels like he just won that TNT Championship, but um he said something on in this segment too that he has been the like after Saturday he will have the most defenses in the history of that TNT championship, which is insane to me considering the guy just won the title. Which just goes to show you how they've been treating the TNT championship. I haven't been a big fan of the TNT championship because they haven't really treated it like they cared about it recently. But since Kyle Fletcher won it, they have been putting a little bit more of a spotlight on it. Um, yeah, the title looks good on Kyle Fletcher, and he's making the title look good as well. So, I'm not gonna say I'm completely opposed to him dropping the title because it's to Mark Briscoe. And I like Mark Briscoe. He's a lot of fun, and it'll give the crowd a feel good moment if and when he wins that TNT championship. Um, We then went into the main event for Dynamite, which was Hangman Adam Page defeating Katsuyori Shibata. Fun match, very fun match. Both of these guys are really good, as I mentioned in my preview. Um, they obviously didn't have a lot of time to work with because by the time we got to this match, it was like the 950 mark or something like that. Or maybe it was in the 940s or something. But it was very close to 950 when this match got underway. But with the time that they had, and obviously AEW likes to go overtime a lot of like almost every single week, by a few minutes. So that's what they did here. Made for a pretty good match. Um, I believe that Hangman and Samoa Joe brawled after this match as well. But then the feed cut, and then I had to go find um AEW Collision because I had to switch over to my laptop because for some reason my TV wasn't showing Collision for whatever reason. Like no channel at all that usually has it was showing Collision. It was showing The Big Bang Theory instead. I'm like, okay, I like this show, but I don't want to watch this right now. Um, but yeah, that was AEW Dynamite for the AEW Collision side of things. That kicked off with another Women's World Tag Team Title tournament match with Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir defeating TJ by submission. Again, not much of a surprise here. Completely expected Shafir and Bayne to win this match. Um, I kind of like that they're still involving Penelope Ford and she's not just sitting at home. With her being injured and everything. So, um, it's always a good sight when Penelope Ford is on our TV screens. Also, so you know what? I'm happy that she at least gets to be a part of it. It sucks that she can't be in the ring competing alongside Megan Bayne, but Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir is just a badass team. Even on paper and you like look at them, the way they move in the ring, it's just a badass team. So. Um, the match itself was fine. It was whatever. It wasn't anything special. Um, TJ had a few shine moments here, and they got a few big moves in ish, until Megan Bay and Marina Shafir just shut it down and won the match. Then again, you can't expect a whole lot from a match in an hour, so I completely understand that. Um, we then had a double Jeopardy match. Kazuchika Okada defeated Mascara Dorada. Once again, expected result, but very fun match. Very fun match. I expected this to be a good match. I mentioned in my preview how I am liking Mascara Dorada more and more each time I see him. He's just so damn good. Some of the things that he does in that ring, I didn't even think it was physically possible to do some of the things that he does. So he is absolutely fantastic, and obviously Okada is fantastic as well. They both showed out in this match. Um, yeah, really good stuff from both of them. Uh, Okada comes out on top. After the match, Don Callis made an announcement that they are going for the Don Callis family, that is going for the CMLL Trios Tag Team Championships. At least I think he said CMLL. If he said something else, then let me know in the comments. But they're going for the CMLL Trios Tag Team Championships. He announces Kazuchika Okada for the team, Hechicero for the team, and Konosuke Takeshita, which Kazuchika Okada was not told about. He didn't seem happy that Takeshita was a part of the team. That match is happening Saturday at the Tailgate Brawl on TNT. So the thing, the pre-show before um AEW Full Gear kicks off. So yeah, man, I have a lot of like the more they kept adding to the card, I'm like, man, so many matches to write down for, but that's like with every single AEW pay-per-view. Um, we then had a Ring of Honor Women's TV Championship unification match where Mercedes Moné defeated Red Velvet to officially become the Ring of Honor Women's Television Champion. Again, an expected result. Mercedes Moné is not going to lose a title match. She may lose a title match this Saturday against Chris Statlander, if they, have her do this thing where she can win every other title but the big one, which is a very interesting storyline to go down. And I'm curious how they would do that. Um, because, you could win every single title around the world except the AEW Women's World Championship, which is kind of interesting and a little bit weird to me. But we'll see where they go with that. But in terms of the match between Mercedes Moné and Red Velvet, fantastic match. Um, I think I do need to start watching some more Red Velvet matches because she is so damn good. Some of the moves that she was pulling off in this match, I was I was amazingly impressed because I wasn't expecting much from this match at all. Um, obviously was watching it, but I was like kind of tuned out at times and I wasn't really into it. And then they started pulling out these big moves. I'm like, man, they're really going all out. Um, no pun intended. But like they're going at it in this match, and Mercedes was pulling off some great moves. I've said it before, I don't like the CEO gimmick from Mercedes, but she's a fantastic wrestler in the ring, and I can never take that away from her and never will. She is so good in the ring. And she proves that every single time she wrestles, including tonight on Collision. So, they put on a good show. Mercedes officially wins the Ring of Honor Women's Television Championships, or unifies it, rather. Um, Overall, this was fun. There's a lot of things between Dynamite and Collision tonight that were a lot of fun. Was not a bad show at all. There were some segments that I could have done without. We had a segment also on the Collision side of things with Sky Blue and Julia Hart and Tekla. Started off with Sky Blue and Julia Hart just speaking in riddles. They're the Sisters of Sin, of course. They obviously looked fantastic. You guys, if you've been listening for a few weeks now, you know my praise for the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart and Sky Blue. I absolutely love them. But it was a little bit weird. And as much as I love this, as I was saying, it's another segment that I probably could have done without. And, you could have just given Mercedes and Red Velvet some more time, even. They definitely would have cooked with more time, cooked even more, I should say, with more time. But either way, it was still fun. Overall, a lot of the matches that happened were a lot of fun. There weren't any bad matches on this. Um, if you want to label anything under a bad match, you could probably put, the opening match for Dynamite, which Bobby Lashley and Ricochet, but that was entertaining in itself. So I wouldn't even put that under the bad category either because that was fun. Mainly because of Ricochet's scream. Um, but yeah, that was Dynamite and Collision for November 19th, 2025. As always, I want to know what you guys have to say and what your thoughts are. You guys are just as big a part of the show as I am. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like I mentioned, you can also let me know over on my TikTok page, on the Kayfabe Central website, and many other things like the Discord server also, which is all linked in the description below. So make sure you guys go check all that stuff out. I will be back tomorrow with the Predict the Bell for AEW Full Gear 2025, and I have an interview lined up this week, or at least that I'm recording this week, and will probably be out over the weekend. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Follow me over on Instagram, X, and all that good stuff, so you can see the announcement of who I will be interviewing this coming weekend. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that, and until next time, take it easy.